Welcome to Brand Builders TV. Deep dive topics, tools and resources brought to you by global thought leaders from within the Brand Builders Club. This show gives you access to the strategies that you can use to move forward with ease and flow in every area of your life and business. In today's show, Licia is going to give you another leadership strategy to turn your challenges, past, present and future, into rocket fuel for today. Whether you've experienced trauma or challenges in the past, or you're carrying trauma from your childhood or even early adulthood, or perhaps there's even something you're facing now that's holding you back in some way. Well, the strategies that Licia is sharing with you today will help you to turn it into treasure and also help you with any challenge that you face in the future too. So let's turn your challenges, past, present and future, into rocket fuel starting now. Learn it, model it and get shit done. Let's go.
Good day to you. Welcome to Brand Builders TV, BBTV. Very happy to be with you. My name is Licia Berry, and I am known as the guide to the frontier inside. Welcome to Brand Builders TV. And today we're going to be furthering our delving into how to change your life in the I'm Not a Victim, I Am Victorious series. This is part 4 of 6. And I welcome you because it takes a special person to be able to confront the difficult things that make our lives the way we would rather they wouldn't be. And it takes a courageous individual to step up and say, okay, wait a minute. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to figure this out. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. So today we are going to be continuing our journey into this orientation that has completely defined my life and made me the success and joyful person that I am. An orientation towards that success and fulfillment that will transform any challenge that you may have faced in your life ever, even as a child, or challenge that you might be facing now, or a challenge that you will face, because let's face it, life, it has challenge in it. It's part of our mechanism to grow and evolve. And this orientation will give you the tools that will enable you to handle anything that comes your way and make good out of it. Make good medicine out of bad medicine is something that I like to say. This is an orientation of being able to turn your pain into your prize, to accept and claim and even embrace our pain, changes it from suffering to blessings and lessons, or blessings, as I like to say. So as I have shared with you previous to today, I am the guide to the frontier inside, and I've been training leaders since 2003 in my signature system and holistic model. My background is in education, neuroscience, and psychology, and earth medicine. So a left and right brain, whole brain holistic model. I have found that as a result of transforming my own life very completely, very deeply, from difficult, challenging traumas as a child into a world known healer and guide and mentor for leaders who are not going to let challenging circumstances define them, who are not going to let themselves be victims to something that may have occurred in their lives, or maybe is occurring right now. And it doesn't have to be that you had some horrible, dark traumas occur in your life like it has in mine. This is a system that applies to any challenge that we may face. And you may not even know what that challenge is, but you know that you're facing one because you don't feel great, or your life isn't as successful as you wish it were, or something keeps sabotaging you. You keep sabotaging yourself. And that's the way we know that there's something there that needs to be faced. And it's typically because there's some kind of pain that we haven't embraced and alchemized. And today is what we're going to be talking about is the alchemy, the part about transforming your pain into your prize. So let me review briefly. So far, I've introduced you to this philosophy that explains how everything that's happened to you in your life has the potential to be your unique and powerful medicine in the world, your signature medicine to totally transform you into the alchemical warrior that you are meant to be in order to serve your audience or your customers or your clients, and to be successful, to be the example of someone who's turned their pain into their prize. And this is a huge inspiration to people when we listen to inspirational speakers and they tell us what they've overcome. Don't you know that feeling of being like, oh my goodness, I'm so inspired by this person. It's because it's appealing to that part inside of us that can do the very same thing. And we may as well. I mean, we all have some kind of pain or suffering. That's part of life. It's a good example to follow. We may as well turn our challenges into something useful and productive for all creation, as we like to say. So after introducing you to that philosophy, I next showed you why being vulnerable and reaching out to ask for support is the first real strategy to turn that challenging situation into rocket fuel for your success. I explained the alchemical process of turning lead into gold, which we're going to be revisiting today, and how we may be subconsciously judging ourselves and therefore sabotaging our very ability to move from victimhood state into an empowered state. I also showed you how self-judgment is the quickest way to stay stuck. Even more motivation, remembering that I quoted Brene Brown, who said that when you cannot ask for help without self-judgment, you are really never offering help without judgment. So a big motivation to let ourselves go ahead and seek the support, seek out some support from a friend or a therapist or a coach or a guide or a healer like myself to help you move from that state of stuckness into moving forward. Next, my next strategy was that now that you've decided you're ready to ask for help, to actually let yourself receive it. Receiving the support, receiving that help is a whole nother piece, a whole nother part of this puzzle. And it's a step that often gets missed. It's a crucial step between asking for help and actually allowing that help in is to really receive it. And I introduced you to my practice of receiving, in which I taught you how to recognize whether you're actually receiving the support you were brave enough to ask for. So today, I'm going to be sharing the next strategy, which is actually transforming that suffering, the alchemizing of that suffering, and how to do that. I'm going to explain to you exactly how that happens inside of you in your own physical, emotional, mental, and even spiritual energetics, and how to turn that switch on, how to ignite the power inside of you to transform any pain or suffering that you have experienced in your life into powerful medicine that could define your actual mark on the world. So let's talk about this word transforming. Oh, before I jump into transforming, let me just see if there's anyone here. And if you would like to ask any questions about anything that I have said so far. All right. So I will continue. And if you have any questions or any thoughts about what I am sharing today, please do say hello. Let me know if there's something that I can answer for you. Let's talk about that word transforming. Excuse me. Transforming happens when we make that crucial step to receive the support. Receiving the support actually sets up a ground inside of us that changes the whole game inside of our body, mind. Through our intention to truly receive the support and change ourselves, it creates a container for the change to occur internally that ripples into our whole life. In the ancient practice of alchemy, it is understood that the pursuit of turning a baser substance into a higher substance is a worthy pursuit to have. In the ancient practice of alchemy, it was the philosophers and the scientists and the people who were searching for improvement in life had this practice of alchemy in which they would have an entire laboratory and a container and would apply chemicals or heat or different substances in an attempt to create a change of that substance that they were trying to transform in a goal to make it gold. The idea was to turn lead into gold. And of course, lead is the most precious metal on our planet. And so is this like, let's turn this icky stuff into something that is precious and rare and actually really desirable to have. So that alchemy process is really a wonderful metaphor for what we're doing in our own lives when we have encountered something challenging. We can take those yucky feelings, the pain, the suffering, the feelings of unworthiness, the feelings of, gosh, I'm not a success in my life, what's wrong with me? Those kinds of feelings where when we start to doubt ourselves, and use that as actual fuel to transform that into something powerful and rare and precious, something that we actually want, and something that actually motivates us and moves us into the state where we are providing support in the world and creating that success that we are longing for in our businesses. So as leaders, it's absolutely essential that we attend to these things that are happening on the inside, because whatever is happening inside of us filters out through our business and filters out through our leadership. There's no way to short circuit that. We can pretend for a little while, but if it's not sustainable, after a period of time, it will peter out, and what's inside will out. It's just part of the deal. An oak tree cannot pretend to be a rose, and a rose cannot pretend to be an oak tree. The true nature of what's inside those molecules, that cellular genetic information, the experiences that plant has had will always out. It will always show. And it's the same of us. We are nature beings, after all. We are organic living structures. And when we encounter something, it shows. It's inside of us, and then it shows. It filters out through our leadership and into our business. So we actually really must attend to this frontier inside. Otherwise, it's folly. We're pretending, to be something that we're really not. And that really does show up after a while. So in this practice of alchemy, where intense heat and chemical forces, are applied, there's this forging going on. There's this, incredible breakdown, and then a transformation of elements, breaking down and turning something into gold. And if you're a gardener, an easy way to think about this is compost. Turning those grass clippings and coffee grounds and kitchen scraps, into the black gold, for your garden. It makes the most powerful, productive plants, and makes your garden a very fully expressed place. All of this alchemy, all of this composting, it has to happen in a container. If you're a gardener, again, even that your composting will typically happen in a compost bin. You've seen those compost bins, right? Or even if you're just doing it on the ground, there's a special place in your yard where you're doing this composting, where you're turning those grass clippings and coffee grounds and kitchen scraps into black gold for your garden. It's not all over your yard. There's a place. So this container, this concept of a container in which the alchemy occurs, is called a crucible. You've probably heard the word crucible, and you maybe have even heard people describe their life as a crucible, and it really is. The container in which our life is alchemized is called the crucible, and our own body, our own life, our own mind, our own spirit is the crucible. The container is created by this defined area, your life, your body, your mind. That's you. That's the container. That's the defined area. In the case of you and your life as the defined area sets the parameter of what is going to be transformed. So the container contains, that whichever it is that's going to be alchemized. So your life and your body and your mind become this crucible within which this thing that happened to you, the pain that it has caused for you, has the power to be alchemized. And then heat is applied. Heat is required for the transformation to occur. So what is the heat in our life? And we know in a compost bin that, the heat is from the sun and the breaking down of the organic matter and water and, all of these elements that are introduced to create heat. And in the true process of alchemy, heat was, applied by fire, by chemistry, and other means. But what is the heat that's applied in the crucible of your life to transform something painful into something that is an absolute treasure in your life? The heat in the container, in the crucible of your life, is created by the intensity of your choice to improve your life. The intensity of your desire to change your life is what creates that heat. Do you have a burning desire to change? Or have you had enough? Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Are you ready, so ready that you have a burning desire to achieve something in this world, to make your mark? Do you have a burning desire to improve not only your life, but the world? That's the heat. That's the heat that will be applied to your own crucible, the crucible of your life, in which your power to turn that challenging situation into something powerful and good and to propel you forward is activated. So when we decide to turn our challenges into our good medicine, to turn that bad medicine into good medicine, and allow the pain to transform us into something better and bigger and more, our life becomes the container. Our life becomes the crucible. And our desire, determination, intention, and attention provide the heat. We become both the transformer and the transformee. And this is when we truly step into the role of creator and wield true power to create anew in our lives. So that's the idea of transformation. Now let's talk about suffering for a minute. And I recognize that sometimes I will say words that make people uncomfortable. And the word victim. In the very first episode, I said, what does that word bring up for you? And some people said, yeah, it's a triggering word. And even the word suffering is a triggering word. So I'm over here being an advocate for saying what's true, for saying, look, suffering happens, pain happens in our life. And it is a fact of being alive that we have these situations that create pain or suffering. And so we may as well talk about it because nobody likes it. As far as I can tell, nobody likes the suffering, and yet we don't want to even talk about it. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be looked at. We need to look it in the eye. So let's talk about suffering for a minute. What is suffering? Suffering is the condition of experiencing sorrow, anger, fear, or other unpleasant feelings. We have more pleasant feelings that we enjoy, like happiness or delight or ecstasy or other more pleasant emotions. Suffering is the condition of experiencing unpleasant emotions. We usually suffer as a result of feeling powerless to remedy the situation that we are experiencing. Let me say that again. This is really important. We usually suffer as a result of feeling powerless to remedy the situation that we're experiencing. So suffering and powerlessness are intimately tied together. But when we choose to confront and change our situation, our suffering dissipates. Why is that? Why is it that when we choose to make a change, the suffering lessens? Well, you probably guessed it. Because there's enough forward momentum as a result of our desire to reclaim joy, our desire to feel better, our desire to be effective, our desire to overcome the situation, that we are actually moved by our desire into transformation. It's the desire itself to change that moves us, lifts us out of the feeling of powerlessness and suffering into a feeling of, oh, okay, I'm going to do something about this, to tap into our true power. Our personal power then increases. The sheer motivation to improve our life becomes the transforming agent. And suddenly the suffering is less, and even sometimes in some cases dissipates completely. So by saying that we suffer, it means that we're allowing the heat to build and the crucible of our life to activate. When you hear someone say that we suffer needlessly, I disagree. I feel and experience in my own life and in the lives of my clients and students that suffering is actually the very agent by which our alchemical transformation can be initiated. It's the very spark we need to start the fire, to apply that heat, to transform the lead of our life into gold. And I say it can be the very agent by which our alchemical transformation can be initiated, because not everybody does it. I think you know what I'm talking about. Some people suffer and allow suffering to be their sole truth, their sole reality. And it's very sad to me that some people choose to stay in the unpleasant feelings and accept those unpleasant feelings as the sum total of their life. And often these are the people who, through their suffering, have chosen to find means of escaping their suffering through any manner of addiction or temporary fixes, because they're remaining in the victimhood of their pain. They're remaining in that state of, there's nothing I can do about this. I am powerless. It's really hard to watch. It's hard to watch, especially when it's someone that you love. I'm familiar with this one. I am familiar with choosing to change my life, the rocket fuel that propelled me from my early family origin into transforming the suffering that I had encountered into something powerful and useful in my life that I could then lead and support other leaders through their own suffering and transform it and turn it into their prize. But those people that I left behind did not choose to transform their pain and suffering into greater understanding, greater knowledge, greater joy, greater relationship, greater communication, greater connection. They have remained victim to their pain and have sought those temporary fixes to try to feel better, but they have remained stuck. And that's really hard to watch, because we would like for everyone to be moved into their greatest potential, would we not? And to be in their joy and to be in their effectiveness. But we can't help those people. We are all on our own journey. We're all in our own process and in our own path. And we have to respect that everyone has some great spirit of their own guiding them, and that perhaps, someday they will recognize that they have the power to choose to turn this suffering into something useful. But there are those of us who allow our pain to ignite us, to choose to create change as a result of our pain, to motivate, inspire, and alchemize our whole life. Are you one of those people? Are you one of the people that's determined to move this life forward and create more peace and goodness and joy in your sphere of influence? Well, I believe that you are. If you've made it this far in this series, and if you've made it this far in today's episode, I believe you are one of those people. Inside of you is the kernel of the divine spark. Inside of you is the seed of the stars. The very alchemy that made this universe is inside of you. And the power to transform your pain into your greatest contribution to this world is right there, inside of you. Believe it. It's true. I've seen this over and over in the thousands of people that I have taught or had the pleasure to work with in one-on-one work. I know that that seed is inside every single one of us, and that we have the power to turn that seed into something beautiful, to grow our life into the greatest potential that it could be. So now we're going to have a little experience, and I want you to go ahead and sit back and relax and close your eyes for a moment. Go ahead and put your hand on your heart and breathe. Breathe. And you can even put your other hand in front of your mouth or your nose. Feel the heat of your breath. The heat that's moving out of your nose and mouth. Like a fire-breathing dragon, your lungs and body create the heat that warms your breath. You have the power to be transformed within your very body. Your body alchemizes every single moment of every single day. Your body alchemizes the food you eat, the water you drink, the air you breathe. Your body alchemizes the knowledge that you take in. It's alchemizing my words right now and transforming it into something that is useful to you. You have the power to be transformed, and for your pain, for your challenging, suffering, to be transformed into something absolutely powerful in your life. You can choose to release the pain and transform it into something that will benefit you and all creation. Breathe. Feel the heat in your body. Will you choose to step into your power and alchemize whatever could hold you down or hold you back? Will you choose? If you say yes, speak this statement. And I'm going to say it first, and then I'm going to have you say it and repeat it. Hand on my heart, breathing. I choose to embrace the love and the lessons afforded by the suffering. And I choose to release the pain and powerlessness. I'll say it again. I choose to embrace the love and the lessons afforded by the suffering and to release the pain and the powerlessness. You ready? Repeat after me. Hand on heart, breathe. I choose to embrace the love and the lessons afforded by this suffering and to release the pain and the powerlessness. Breathe that down into and through your body, into the earth and out into your life, creating a ripple. And humbly ask for assistance from all creation, by whatever spiritual tradition or by whatever belief you may have about your connection with all of the power that is around you. Ask for the assistance of that power and receive it. The power to transform this pain into your prize. All right, so we've come again to the end of this episode. I hope that you'll join me next week, where I take you even further into what you can do to transform your pain into your prize with my next strategy. I look forward to hearing from you. Don't forget that you are welcome to receive my free gift, the 4 obstacles, which are the very things that tend to hold us back from really beginning this alchemy process, the transforming process, transforming pain into our true prize, into our treasure, into that which the world truly needs and that will give us the greatest joy and the greatest fulfillment in our lives. I look forward to seeing you next time. Lots of love to all of you, and go out there and be an alchemist.
I hope that you've enjoyed the show today as much as we've enjoyed making it for you. If you've got anything out of this episode, please do tell someone else how they can subscribe to the Brand Builders TV channel at youtube.com/brandbuilderstv. Why not join us at our next Brand Builders Thinkubator, a global mastermind that we run every week to take away the loneliness of being in business on your own. For more information and to book your place, visit light.brandbuilders.club/Thinkubator. That's light.brandbuilders.club/Thinkubator. Until next time, be the ripple that you wish to see in the world, and we'll see you soon.